Hi everybody, welcome to YSHIS. This is Pranay and we are going to continue the geography class 11th textbook Fundamentals of Physical Geography. I hope you are liking this video and please comment and let us know how you felt about the video and please share it with your friends and please reach us on WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number is provided here and please ask any questions regarding your UPSC preparation or any test series and any other information. You can reach us on WhatsApp or else please mail us. We will let you know and we shall continue the class. So we are continuing the geomorphic processes. This is the second part of the video. So what is mass movements? Previously we have read about the weathering. Okay, so major and other geomorphic processes basically. Okay, so major was the weathering process which we studied. Now we will read about the mass movements. Weathering, if you don't know what is weathering and if you have not attended the class, please attend the previous class and continue with this video. So mass movements transfer the mass of rock debris down the slopes under the direct influence of gravity. Because of the gravity, we have read about the landslides at that point of time. Similar way, direct influence of gravity causes the movement of rocks and debris basically. Okay, that means air, water or ice do not carry debris, so there is not much role of air, water and ice, etc. Okay, the movements of mass may range from slow to rapid, affecting shallow to deep column of materials and include creep, flow, slide and fall. Okay, gravity exerts its force on all matters, both bedrock and products of weathering. Okay, so weathering is not a prerequisite for mass movement, though it aids mass movements. What they are saying is mass movement is basically because of the gravity. If there is some sort of weathering happening on a parent material, some XYZ rock is there, this can fall directly. But if some sort of weathering is happening, if it is forming into 2 or 3 pieces, it may help for this to fall because of the gravity. Okay, mass movements are very active over weathered slopes. Okay, mass movements are aided by gravity and no geomorphic agents like running water, glacier, wind, waves, current participate in the process of mass movements. Okay, no geomorphic agent, water, glacier, wind, waves. Okay, that means mass movements do not come under erosion, though there is a shift of the material from one place to another. If the material is moving because of the water, glacier, wind, waves, etc., is said to be called as erosion. But here it is moving because of the gravity. Okay, material over the slopes have their own resistance to disturbing forces and will yield only when force is greater than shearing resistance of the material. Weak consolidated materials, thinly bedded rocks, faults, steeply dipping beds, vertical cliffs or steep slopes, abundant precipitation and torrential rains and scarcity of vegetation, etc., favor mass movements. These are causing some sort of help to the mass movement. Okay, see, we saw, right, this is the rock fall. Basically the pieces of rocks are falling because of the gravitation. Here the pieces are sliding down basically because of the gravitation. It is called as landslide, this is called as rockfall. Mudslide is basically because of some sort of material. Here it will start flowing because of maybe because of water and all that. Slumping is basically in batches kind of a thing. Slowly here the material starts moving. Obviously this material, because of no support, it will start moving slowly. So it will start moving in kind of pieces, kind of a thing. Several activating causes precede mass movements. Okay, removal of support from below to materials above through natural or artificial means. Okay, because of natural or artificial means, the support, for example, there is a rock, there is some sort of soil here. Okay, because of the rain, the soil will get eroded, okay, on a cliff. Once the soil is there out, this rock will start getting down because of the gravity. Okay, increase in gradient and height of slope. Obviously, if there is very high slope, okay, it will start falling very fastly. If there is a small if it is on a very low slope, it will may not fall in that same speed. Also the gradient, the material here, okay, overloading through addition of materials naturally or by artificial filling. For example, here it is, when there is a rainfall, when there is a rainfall, automatically the weight will increase basically. Okay, the increased weight will cause it to fall down. Okay, overloading due to heavy rainfall, saturation and lubrication of slope material. For example, because of the rain, this thing got muddy, very smooth kind of muddy material, so automatically this will make it easier for falling. Removal of material or load from over the original slope surface. Occurrence of earthquake, explosion or machinery. For example, this is here, there is some sort of for example, the slope is like this, there is some sort of bomb blast because of mining or something. Obviously, because of the shaking or because of the earthquake, this will fall down easily. Excessive natural seepage. Heavy drawdown of water from lakes, reservoirs and rivers, leading to slow outflow of water from under the slopes or river banks. Heave is basically cracking of land. Okay, cracking of land, heaving up of soil due to frost growth and other causes. See here, this is a heave basically, it is some sort of crack. Flow and slide are three forms of movements. So what is landslide? Basically, you see in the image, from the top, the debris, rocks and everything is falling down. Okay, very recently there was a landslide in Uttarakhand, there is landslide in Manali, and these happen very regularly when there are a lot of hills and slopes are there. These are relatively rapid and precipitable movements. The material involved are relatively dry basically. Okay, the size and shape of the detached mass depends upon nature of discontinuities in the rock. Okay, the degree of weathering and the steepness of the slope. Depending upon the type of movement of material, several types are identified in this category. Slump is slipping of one or several units of rock debris with a backward rotation with respect to slope over which the movement takes place. You saw here, this is a slump basically. Okay, this thing. Okay, because the movement is in that way. Okay, so you can see this is also a slump. The movement is in this way basically. Okay, so this is the initial position. So because of the movement of the material, slowly the material will flow like this. The whole set will move, and one after one, one after one, one after one. Okay. Rapid rolling or sliding of the earth debris is known as debris slide. Okay, debris fall is nearly a free fall of earth debris from a vertical or overhanging surface. Here see, a small set of debris is falling here. Okay, this is called a debris. Okay, a debris flow basically. Okay, sliding of individual rock masses, huge pieces of rocks fall. Okay, down bedding joint or fault surface is called as rock slide. Okay, over steep slopes, rock sliding is very fast and destructive. Okay, erosion and deposition. Erosion involves acquisition and transportation of rock debris. When massive rock breaks into smaller fragments through weathering and any other process, erosional geomorphic agents like running water, groundwater, glaciers, wind and waves remove and transport it to other places depending upon the dynamics of each of these agents. Previously, when we read the mass movement, there was no sort of agents involved, running water, groundwater, and all. It was because of the gravity. But now erosion happens because of wind, because of the running water and all. Okay, abrasions by the rock debris carried by these geomorphic agents also aids greatly in erosion. Both erosion relief degrades, the landscape is worn down. Okay, weathering, mass wasting, and erosion are degradational processes. It is erosion that is largely responsible for the continuous changes. Okay, see here, it is basically a water moving small canal kind of a thing which is formed naturally, but this happened with a course of time. It did not happen just in a day. Okay, it was maybe it was a small stream of water, and with time maybe it might take around 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Slowly the debris will start moving because of the erosion. Okay, this debris will fall and this will go with the water. Okay, slowly these kind of things will form. The Grand Canyon, even there is you see the Grand Canyon, it did not form just in a day. It happened with many years. Okay, denudational processes like erosion and transportation are controlled by kinetic energy. The erosion and transportation of earth material is brought by wind, running water, glacier, waves, and groundwater. Wind, running water, glacier, these all basically climatic conditions which are natural, but waves and groundwater are not climatic conditions. Okay, wave, it is the location along the interface of litho and hydrosphere. Okay, interface of litho and hydrosphere in the coastal region, basically that will determine the work of the waves. Work of groundwater is determined more or by the lithological character of the region. Okay, if the rocks are permeable and soluble and water is available, only then karst topography develops. Basically what they are saying is, in the coastal locations, waves, when they touch the land, and there is in the coastal areas, basically the waves, when they touch the land, and this water waves will cause some sort of erosion, right? And in the same way, in the ground level also, if the material which is there in the ground, if it is permeable, if it is soluble, okay, and enough water is there, then only this will be effective, basically. Okay, deposition is a consequence of erosion. Okay, so the material is flowing from here. Okay, there was a huge rock, because of erosion the debris started going, but it will start settling up somewhere. Okay, it will start settling up somewhere. When it is settling, okay, the erosional it will be something called as deposition, basically. Okay, the erosional agents lose their velocity and hence energy on the gentler slopes, and the material carried by them start to settle themselves. Okay, in other words, deposition is not actually the work of any agent. So obviously, water was bringing it, and obviously when there is the slope ended and automatically the velocity reduced, and at a point of time it gets stagnated. So the material, what will happen, it will slowly settle down. Okay, the coarser material get deposited first and finer ones in the last. By deposition, depressions gets filled up. For example, there is some sort of uneven surface. When the water bringing lot of sediments, the sediments will fill up here in this kind of area, so automatically the depressions will fill up. The same erosional agents, running water, glacier, wind, waves, and groundwater, act as aggradational or depositional agents also. Okay, see here, for example, if we are cutting the trees, obviously the topsoil is exposed. When there is a rain, this topsoil is being carried out, and it will go and settle somewhere at the lower surface, basically. Okay, so here in the last you can see this topsoil, from here it will move downwards and it will settle somewhere here, and this material is settled here. We will see about the soil formation now. Soil is a dynamic medium in which many chemical, physical, and biological activities go on constantly. Okay, soil is a result of decay. It is also the medium of growth. Okay, it is a changing and developing body. it has many characteristics that fluctuate with the seasons. It may be alternatively cold and warm or dry and moist. Okay. Biological activity is slowed or stopped if the soil becomes too cold or too dry. Okay. Organic matter increases when leaves fall or grasses die. Process of soil formation. Soil formation or pedogenesis. Okay, pedogenesis is soil formation. Depends first on weathering. Okay, what kind of material it is there? It will start weathering. It will, for example, this is a rock. After weathering, it will form into smaller rocks. These smaller rocks will form into some soil kind of a thing which will mix up into the regular soil. So this thing is one of the major things. Okay, first, the weather material or transported deposits are colonized by bacteria, okay, and other inferior plant bodies like mosses and lichens. Also, several minor organisms may take shelter within the mantle and deposits. The dead remains of the organisms and plants help in humus accumulation. Minor grasses and ferns may grow. Later, bushes and trees will start growing through seeds brought in by birds and wind. Plant roots penetrate down, burrowing animals bring up particles, masses of material become porous and sponge-like with the capacity to retain water and to permit the passage of air. And finally, a mature soil, a complex mixture of mineral and organic product is formed. Material, this soil, see, I will show. This rock is there. Because of the weathering, it is getting into smaller, and this also weathering, this will get into soil. Okay, once it is in soil, for example, if we consider this as soil, please. Okay, once it is in soil, what will happen? Animals like rats and all that will start coming into it, and obviously they will live in it, and they will die also there will be some sort of grass in it. Some trees will be there, they will die, the leaves will die, automatically humus will increase, organic matter will increase in it. Okay, organic matter, once they increase, automatically the more the increase in the growth will happen. Okay, once this, because of the organic growth and all that, here the soil will get matured, a complex mixture of minerals and organic product. Okay, soil forming factors. 5 basic factors control formation of soil. Parent material, what we said, the major rock which is there. Topography, which location it is. Climate, biological activity and time. Parent material and topography is said to be considered as one of the passive factor, and climate, biological activity and time are active factors. Okay, in fact, soil forming factors act in union. Okay, they happen, this parent material, everything, they happen to be parallel, like they happen with a cooperation in a mutual way. Okay, parent material can be in situ or on-site weathered rock, debris, residual soil or transported deposit. Okay, maybe the rock, because of weathering and erosion, here it got weathered, but here the soil is forming, or maybe here it got weathered and here only soil is forming. If it is moving, it is called as transported soil. If it is here only, it is called as residual soil. Soil formation depends upon texture, sizes of debris and structure, deposition of individual grain particles of debris. For example, grains and texture, if it is very small, it will form into some sort of clay kind of a thing. But if it is, the texture is much bigger and the grains are much larger, it will form some sort of soil which is available on roadsides and all. Okay, the mineral and chemical composition of the rock. Nature and rate of weathering and depth of weathering mantle are important consideration under parent materials. There may be differences in soil over similar bedrock, and dissimilar bedrocks may have similar soil above them. Okay, so under, for example, this is land, this is, for example, the upper crust. Here the parent material will be there. Okay, this part will be the parent material. This parent material may not be the same as the soil here. This soil may be different, may be same. Okay, But when soils are very young and have not matured, this shows strong links with the type of parent rock. If the soil is matured, okay, there is humus and there is organic matter, there may be no similarities between the parent rock and the soil. But as it, in the starting, when the if it is in the young stage, it is in immature stage, there will be lot of similarities, since it has been produced with the parent material in a very short span of time. In case of some limestone areas where weathering process are specific and peculiar, soils will show clear relation with the parent rock. Okay, topography. Topography, like parent materials, is another passive control, as we read. The influence of topography is felt through amount of exposure of surface covered by parent material to sunlight and amount of surface and subsurface drainage over the parent material. What kind of sunlight it gets, what kind of water, the amount of water it gets, basically. Okay, soil will be thin or steep slopes and thick over flat upland lands. Okay, thin it will be on the steep slopes and thick over flat upland lands. Over gentle slopes where erosion is slow and percolation of water is good, soil formation is very favorable. Okay, soil over flat areas may develop a thick layer of clay with good accumulation of organic matter, giving the soil dark color. Okay, which is considered as good for vegetation, basically. Next comes the climate. Climate is an important active factor in soil formation. The climate elements involved in soil development are moisture in terms of intensity, frequency, duration of precipitation and evaporation, and humidity. We read about it. Temperature in terms of seasonal and diurnal variations. Precipitation gives soil its moisture, okay, which makes the chemical and biological activities possible. Without precipitation, there won't be any sort of plants, trees growth. Okay, so obviously the humus will be very lower. Okay, the humus or maybe the organic material will be very lower. So obviously there will be difference in the biological activity. Okay, excess of water helps in downward transportation of soil components through the soil elevation and deposits the same down below the elevation. See, these are two different land masses, basically. Here you can see the green vegetation and the soil is very fertile, considering. But because of the precipitation, because of the lower rainfall, this is something, the land will be looking something like this. Here the soil is different, here the soil is different, and maybe this only after 20 years without rain it will be something like this, or maybe this after 20 years of complete absence of rain will get into some sort of desert kind of a thing. Okay, so these are all reasons. Like the climate is one of the major actor being in this soil formation. Okay, in climates like wet equatorial rainy areas with high rainfall, not only calcium, sodium, magnesium, potassium, etc., but also major part of silica is removed. Okay, calcium, sodium, magnesium, potassium, these are all very less there. Also silica is also less, which is known as desilication. In dry climate, because of high temperature, evaporation exceeds precipitation because rainfall is less but evaporation is more. Okay, the groundwater is brought up to the surface by capillary action, and in the process the water evaporates, leaving behind salts in the soil. Obviously the salines increase, such salts form into crust in the soil known as hard pans. You see Run of Kutch. Okay, it's one of the best example of that salt pan. Okay, in tropical climates and in areas with intermediate precipitation conditions, calcium carbonate nodules are formed, which are called as conker. Okay, temperature acts in two ways. increasing or reducing chemical and biological activity. Okay, chemical activity is increased in higher temperatures, chemical activity is increased, okay, reduced in cooler temperatures, with an exception of carbonation increases in the cooler environment and stops in freezing conditions. When there is freezing condition, complete chemical activity will completely reduce. That is why tropical soil with higher temperature show deeper profiles. In the frozen and in frozen tundra regions, soils contain largely mechanically broken metal. There is no chemical reaction, just the pieces are getting eroded and getting weathered, but there is no sort of chemical activity. Okay, this is one of the examples. See, the water after the rain, the water gets penetrated and the parent material is being filled up with the water, and slowly, because of the erosion and all that, the parent material will get withered, and automatically the soil is formed. Okay, next is biological activity. The vegetative cover and organisms that occupy the parent material from beginning and also at the later stages, helping adding organic matter. For example, there is a rat. Okay, Okay, this will live in the deep section of the rock. They will make a whole burrow kind of a thing. They will live, and at the point of time they will die there. Okay, and because they will release some sort of nutrients after dying, after decaying, obviously trees will start forming, grass will grow automatically. They will die, the leaves will fall on here itself, and again it will get into the humus. Automatically the organic matter is increasing. Dead plants provide humus and finely divided organic matter of the soil. Some organic acids which form during humification aid in decomposing the minerals of the soil parent material. Intensity of bacterial activity shows up differences between soils of cold and warm climates. Okay, humus accumulates in cold climates as bacterial growth is slow. Okay, with undecomposed organic matter, because of low bacterial activity, layers of peat develop in subarctic and tundra climates. Simply, this kind of extracted question has been asked in UPSC this year. Because of heavy rainfall, there is the leaves fall down, and whether they convert into humus or not, you need to have some sort of imaginary way of thinking. Recent 2021 paper itself, there was a question regarding the evergreen forest. You just check it out. Okay, if you are understanding this concept, 50 to 60% of the question is easily solvable there. Okay, I mean that question specifically. In humid tropical and equatorial climates, bacterial growth and action is intense, and dead vegetation is rapidly oxidizing, leaving very low humus content in the soil. Okay, further, bacteria and other soil organisms take gaseous nitrogen from air and convert it into a chemical form that can be used by the plants. Okay, this is known as nitrogen fixation. You might have read this in the nitrogen cycle. Okay, Rhizobium, a type of bacteria, lives in the root nodules of leguminous plants. Okay, and fixes nitrogen beneficial to the host plant. The influence of large animals like ants, termites, earthworms, rodents, etc. is mechanical, but it is important in soil formation as they rework the soil up and down. Because, for example, these termites and all, they will throw the material outside that hole for digging. Automatically, the internal soil is coming out now. Okay, so in this way, it is one of the important aspects. In case of earthworms, they feed on soil, they eat soil and excrete the soil again. Okay, the texture and chemistry of the soil that comes out of their body changes. Obviously, when they eat and they digest and different kind of material they extract, and some sort of material they release into the same material and they excrete it basically. Okay, next is the time. Time is the third important controlling factor in soil formation. The length of the time the soil forming processes operate determines maturation of soil. As for example, the parent body, material, with time only it will start weathering. With time only the humus will form. with time only more and growth will be there, and with time only the soil will be matured enough. Okay, the soil becomes mature when all soil forming process act for sufficiently long time, developing a profile. Okay, soil developing from recently deposited alluvium or glacial till are considered young. Recently, which are basically made just recently, are considered to be young, and they exhibit no horizons or only poorly developed horizons. Okay, nothing grows in it properly. Okay, no specific length of time in absolute terms can be fixed for soil to develop or mature. Okay, so no specific length of time. It can, depend upon the material. It might depend upon the external factors and all that. Okay, see here, for example, this is the parent rock. Slowly, because as the time passed by, slowly plants and all that grew up, and as the time is moving on, this is young soil, this is immature soil, and at a later stage it becomes a mature soil, which is very useful for the vegetation and all that. Okay, great amount of organic material and humus will be there in the matured soil. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope you find this class very useful. I hope you will share with your friends also, and please like the video, please comment, like, let us know how you felt, or if you want any sort of changes, and please share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel, and let us know how you felt, and let us know if you want anything else, and please reach us on the WhatsApp number, and the email ID has been provided, the WhatsApp number has been provided. Please reach us for any test series or any sort of information or any sort of videos you want. Okay, this will make us, encourage us to put more and more free videos for you guys. Okay, and thank you and have a great day.